Hey, yo, Josh, let me get a little bit of reverb. Yeah. J. Will. Yeah, I'm about that lifestyle. I talk green work, repping it all over. It's right on the t-shirt. Fan for a lifetime. Yeah, that's a long pass. Figure I would show some love right on the podcast. Turn this up loud and make sure you don't do nothing else. Cause if you're listening to us, then you're improving your health. My name is J. Will. Welcome to the show, yeah. Wrestle, flow, 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 yeah.
Uh-oh, Kev, it's a mixed bag. We don't know what we're going to talk about.
Oh, boy. I think that is when, and we've said this before, this is when we shine. This is when we thrive. We just throw shit into the mix, and we carve out an hour of just ridiculous shit.
Yep. So I just got done watching NXT. It was a good little show. I've seen some things from Dynamite. Apparently that was a good show as well. I'm not going to lie, Kevin, to start things off with a bit of a sour note, I've fallen off the AEW page again. I don't know why.
It didn't take long.
I was like watching it for a good solid month, and I was like, this is good. And then because I get AEW Plus, obviously, to watch it on Fight, and that ran out, and I didn't have the money in my account to pay for it. And then I was like, oh, I'll get back around to that. And I just haven't.
Well, yeah, I mean, it sucks that it sucks having to pay to watch this stuff, especially when over here stateside we just watch weekly television for free. Well, not for free, but I don't pay my cable bill.
No. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure I'll go back into it, but I've been tiptoeing around. I seen they made some kind of Queen was tagging me in so much stuff about this thing with Jericho and the Inner Circle making some form of a TikTok video. So I'm like, oh well, I watched that. So I'll check out little bits and pieces.
God, that is probably that is probably nauseating.
Oh, I was just like, this is amazing. So yeah, I'll check out that. But I just got done watching NXT and all of that kind of stuff. So I guess that's a little bit on my brain, which I'm sure I'll talk about at some point. But last week was such a downer of an episode just because of the way what a difference a week can make. I mean, I don't feel...
It was weird. I know we recorded after the show last week, and I just watching wrestling was the furthest thing from my mind last week because of everything, with the layoffs and everything sort of going on. It felt like almost on one hand, it's like the show goes on and the best thing you could do is support the wrestlers that are there, but it almost feels like it leaves a sour aftertaste in your mouth to watch some of these performers, knowing that their colleagues have been effectively left out in the cold.
No, I agree. I was watching NXT with a very different, a very different mindset last week. I was watching it, but not really paying attention because I was like, ugh. I just, it is what it is. But I mean, it's been a week now. We've kind of seen some things lay out and how some of these talents are reacting to it. And for the most part, it's been pretty much all good. They're just kind of going about their business. And we've seen some rumblings of maybe certain people will get hired back and mentioning of people, mainly Sarah Logan on Raw. She was mentioned a lot. And there's a lot of people apparently going to bat for her. I don't know how true that is. Drake Maverick was obviously all over NXT, had a big video package and stuff. So maybe, some of these releases may not, really last too long. Maybe some of them will be hired back. We don't really know. But at the end of the day, no matter what we have our opinions on it or what anyone has their opinions of it, it is a part of the industry. So it happens. I understand it sucks, but it does happen. And these people will fall on their feet, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's just, this does happen. They do layoffs of talent every year around this time. So in that regard, it's not a surprise that this happened. It was just the scope of it, and of course the circumstances surrounding everything with the pandemic going on. It was definitely just a convergence of a bunch of shitty things, all just sort of happening at the same time. But yeah, these things happen, and and like you said, obviously right now it's a little tough to really forge a path in wrestling outside of the major companies, because there really is nothing going on outside of the major companies in wrestling.
Nope.
But like everything's gonna come back around at some point. Like everything's gonna come back, and the industry's gonna crank back up again. The indie scene is gonna start to thrive once again, and these guys are going to be just super hot commodities on the indie scene, and also with the other major companies out there. Yeah. Obviously, you're gonna look to scoop up some of these guys. There's some big names that they just let go.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm pretty. I'm let's just say I'm content with it all. I'm just like, okay, it happened, it sucked, but what are we meant to do? There's nothing we can literally do about it. We can either sit there and be like, oh, this is the worst, so I don't want to participate in anything, and that's fine, or you can just kind of move on and keep going.
And to the credit of all the talent involved here, it seems like everyone that's been released has taken it pretty much in stride. They're setting up the pro wrestling tees, like stores, and they're moving merch, and they're obviously a lot of people are going to buy those shirts right now. Not only just because you want to support the indie talents and you want to support these people, but just just as a way of you want to support anybody you can support right now. Not everyone's making money right now. But everything's sort of shut down.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. I have no argument on that one. But like I said at the start of the show, we're just gonna kind of go with whatever and try and focus on some cool wrestling stuff that's going on. One thing that we do need to talk about, and that we have not talked about to each other, Kevin, is the fact that Money in the Bank is going to be taking place at WWE HQ.
Oh my God.
Some people are like, this is going to be the absolute worst thing ever. Some people are loving it. I'm 100% like certain they're going to do this cinematic style, which is fine to me, but I want this to be like a C-level karate movie. Like, I just want this. I think it could be like something really, really cool if it's done properly. And if it's not, it's going to be something that I can really laugh at. So I'm looking forward to it. What about you?
Oh my God, I kind of I was hoping, just because with the success they had at WrestleMania with the Firefly Funhouse and with the Boneyard match. Now I would say that that's pretty much like unanimously acclaimed. Like I don't think there are that many detractors of those two matches, especially the Boneyard match. I don't think I've seen like a single person say, "Oh, I didn't like the Boneyard match." But that cinematic style is something that we've talked about at length. It's something that they should be leaning into right now, because it's sort of a workaround as to you can keep people safe and sort of separate from one another, but you can still sort of maintain this illusion that we're having a wrestling match. So you should I think they should be going to this more often than not now, especially for the foreseeable future, while we're still figuring this out. So when I heard this announcement that they were literally going to be climbing to the roof of WWE headquarters, I was like, this is like exactly what I wanted them to do. It is ridiculous. It is absurd. It's going to be hysterical. Yeah. And I agree with you in the fact that they should just make it like literally like a C movie, B movie style, where it's just like gags and just over the top cartoonish style. It could be so much fun. It will be so much fun. I don't know why people would be like, oh, I don't think it's going to be good, when they're coming off of those two terrific matches at WrestleMania. And you could say, oh, it wasn't even a match. Like, who cares? It's wrestling. It's all wrestling. And I think that we are in for a treat with whatever's going on here. I honestly don't know what's going to happen, but I think it's going to be good.
And the irony in climbing the corporate ladder, it's like, oh my God, if they destroy Vince's office, I'm just going to be so...
Oh yeah, I mean, it's like every Vince statement ever made, the brass ring comment and all that. Like, you could literally, it seems as though Vince is opening him.
He's just taking the piss.
It seems as though he's opening himself up to being made fun of, which is, I mean, I'm not saying that hasn't been his thing in the past, considering how ridiculous his on-screen character has been. He's clearly okay being the brunt of the joke.
Yeah.
But it's cool to see them sort of taking these real life things that Vince has sort of been, not known for. They've rubbed some people the wrong way, and they're turning it into something positive to highlight talent.
Yep, I'm all for it, and the group of talent so far that are in the two, it's going to be two 6 person Money in the Bank ladder. I guess they're still called Money in the Bank. Technically, they're Money in the Bank ladder matches. They're just going to be a little different. By the way, just throwing it out there, I have no interest in seeing a ladder match without a crowd. I really don't. Sure, they would have been fine, but I don't really want to see. I'm glad they're going with this route just because I don't really want to see it without a crowd. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like a straight up ladder match is pretty heavily reliant on spots. There's going to be a lot of crazy spots, and without the crowd there to pop those spots, they lose a little bit of impact for sure. Like obviously, I think you look at the ladder match from WrestleMania, which was great, but it definitely could have been better in front of 80,000 people.
God. Yeah, and it is what it is, but I'm glad. But the talent involved in these ladder matches so far, on the men's side, you've got Daniel Bryan, Rey Mysterio, Apollo Crews, which is someone that's like, whoa, okay, cool. Apollo Crews is finally getting a little bit of love, and Aleister Black. So I ain't mad at that at all. We got two more.
That's a great mix of veteran talent and younger in quotes, because I don't think Aleister Black is actually that young, but a good mix of veteran talents and some of the up and comers that we really wanted to see, especially Apollo Crews. I think we knew Aleister Black was going to get his day eventually, just given how much they've seemed to be behind him. Apollo Crews is someone who was like floundering, and he seemed like he was lost in the shuffle, and he's so immensely talented, and the people love him. Mm-hmm. So it's cool to see him get this moment, and there's a lot of cool things he could do. But there's a lot of cool things anybody could do, I guess, because we really don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, we don't really know what's going to go on. There's still two more spots from SmackDown. On the women's side of things, we've got Dana Brooke, who beat Naomi, which a lot of people were like, whoa, Naomi's not going to be in this ladder match. But then I'm not mad at that. Dana Brooke is fine. I have no problem with Dana. Then you've got Asuka, who is being the absolute star of these PC.
Oh yeah, I've seen a lot of people saying that Asuka is the MVP of the no crowd performance center Raws, and I'd be hard pressed to argue with that. I mean, she's been a revelation.
Oh my God, she's just thrived in this. So we've got Asuka, Shayna Baszler, who's been, breaking people's arms. Nia Jax, who's always talked about.
Yeah,
you've probably seen everyone's seen the clip from Raw.
Yeah,
it's taken 2 weeks, and she's oh man.
I have mixed feelings about it. Obviously, I think that I'm not going to defend her in the spot. I think that I don't think that was particularly safe on her part. I'm gonna hold her accountable for that. But at the same time, for one, these things happen. It wasn't like a crazy irresponsible thing. I think it was just a misstep.
I think she positioning. I think that's Nia's problem.
I think if she takes one more step, she's fine. It's not like it wasn't malicious. It wasn't that bad. I don't think
it could have been a lot way. It scared the way I was watching it live, obviously, and between like the Kyrie scream and then the impact, I was like, oh, that didn't really.
Yeah, I saw the clip and I was like, ooh, that wasn't good. And I was my first thought was like, no, Nia should have taken an extra step, or there's something that they could have done differently. It didn't look safe all around, so I wasn't like crazy about the spot in general. Yeah. But then if people, and this is something that happens when when we see spots botched like this, and the unsafe accusations start flying around, and people are like, why Nia should apologize. Nia should do. I'm sure Nia apologized backstage. Like I'm sure she said, "Oh,
apologized in the ring." She picked her up, and she would have been like, "Oh fuck, sorry, man." Like, I didn't mean to do that.
I don't know why Nia Jax, this heel character, would just apologize like on Twitter. That would be the most ridiculous thing. And you should use these moments for heat. I have no problem with her using it for heat. I don't. I wish that maybe she got heat a different way, but you have to run with these things when they happen. Hate. And what's that?
Heat's heat. Like it's still heat.
Oh yeah,
at the end of the day.
Heat is heat. I'm a proponent. I don't really differentiate between like heel heat and go away heat. I don't really think there's a difference. I think if you're getting booed, you're doing your job regardless of why they're booing you.
Yeah. I agree with
So
that. But the spot was, I mean, listen, I've said my opinion on Nia Jax. You've said your opinion on Nia Jax many times. She's always going to be someone that's talked about because of those 3 or 4 times that she's been in the ring where she's been a little careless. And I'm not going to defend the fact maybe she wasn't. However, you know, 4 or 5 times out of however many matches this person's had, you know, it's just because it's on live TV and she's under a spotlight. She can't make any mistakes because people will say, "You can't wrestle. Get the fuck out of there. You are unsafe," and all of that stuff. Okay, I get it. I understand. But I always say this: who are we to say whether someone can wrestle or not? And at the end of the day, Kairi Sane did not get hurt. She seems to be fine. It was a ring positioning thing. I think sometimes Nia, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, I don't know what I'm talking about because I don't wrestle. I think sometimes Nia doesn't realize her own strength. And sometimes when she's throwing a 99-pound girl around, a tiny person like Kairi Sane, I don't think she realizes, like, if I throw her pretty aggressively, she's going to go down. Like, I don't think she realizes.
And that's the thing is, like, I don't like, obviously when you have someone with Nia's size and strength, she's going to be, throwing people around and sort of tossing them like rag dolls. I don't like that style. I don't like when they just start, like, they're just like throwing people around and not like doing like wrestling moves per se. I think it's a little bit more dangerous when you're just sort of casually tossing a person. But like that's Nia's character, and that's just how they book these monsters.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. And, hey, it is what it is. I still call it like I see it, and it was a little careless and stuff like that. Yeah, I agree with everybody there, but I ain't one to say Nia Jax shouldn't wrestle because happens. Accidents happen. Like Owen Hart was one of the greatest technical wrestlers we've ever seen, and he dropped Stone Cold on his head and he broke his neck.
It happens.
And it happens. You know what I mean? So that's how I see it. I understand what people's argument are. I'm not sitting here going to argue with anybody on it. I'll just be like, that's your opinion. I respect that, but I have pretty much no issue.
Yeah. I just wish Kairi Sane won the match, but that's
I will say Kairi is everyone's like last week in the Money in the Bank qualifier, she kind of just got dismantled by Nia. This week she put up way more of a fight. That match made me realize, oh man, I understand the Kabuki Warriors are in like a weird gray area where they're not really like full heels, they're not really faces, they're just kind of in betweens, but man, a babyface Kairi Sane is just so much more natural. Asuka, on the other hand, I like as a heel, but a babyface Kairi Sane.
I think Asuka plays the role better. I think, and I'm not saying Kairi can't play a heel.
No, she can.
But I think that like literally, whereas like I want to see Asuka no matter what role she's in. Like I'll root for her, but I'll also root against her. I just really want to root for Kairi. Kairi Sane is arguably, like, when she's a babyface, the best pure babyface they have. She's so easy to like.
And like heel Nia versus a face Kairi could be something really cool. Honestly.
Yeah, you have like you have the size difference. That's like wrestling 101, David versus Goliath almost.
Yep, and I'd be down to see that.
You don't really get to see that on the women's side that often.
No. I would really I'd like to see it. Something else I've been enjoying as of I don't know, it's still in its baby stages here, but of course Charlotte won at WrestleMania, the NXT Women's Championship. She's going to be taking on Mia Yim next week on NXT, everybody. So, she wanted to fight Mia first. Charlotte was on NXT, what I just watched like 15 minutes ago. And I'm enjoying the way that Charlotte's being presented. Like, basically, like, the NXT Women's Division is the hottest division. Everyone talks about it. We've talked about it at length. The NXT Women's Division is one of our favorite parts of wrestling. It's just so great. So it's like Charlotte said she's just going to come in and she's going to run through them all. And there's a big part of me that's just like, that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, it very well could happen. And that's going to be met with some detractors for sure. I don't know if I would necessarily like that, but I mean, she's going to have to, she can't just go down and lose her first match in NXT. It would make this whole thing sort of pointless. She has to run through some people. So like Mia Yim is like the perfect person. Like just beat Mia Yim, beat
Oh, and
Xia Li, beat even beat someone a little bit higher up on the food. Beat Candice LeRae, although Candice LeRae seems to have a different.
Oh, by the way, guys, Candice LeRae cut a killer heel promo, and I was like,
I
oh,
was gonna say
she had purple
Candice LeRae
hair.
seems to be
I was
on
like,
a different career trajectory right now, and I think that's super interesting.
and also you'll agree with me here. Charlotte Flair called Mia Yim one of the worst things you can call someone in wrestling. She called her a good hand.
Oh, that's so disrespectful. Oh
And
my
Mia
God.
was like, bitch. And Charlotte was like, she's like, next week I'm gonna make you a star. And then walked off, and I was like, oh my God.
Those are two of the most disrespectful things I've ever heard.
Good hand. She
And
said
that's
you're a
what
good
Charlotte.
hand. I was like, oh, it's so true.
That's why that's what makes Charlotte so great, because those lines come off as so genuine from her, because she carries herself like a star.
Like a queen.
Also, I just love that, like, in modern wrestling, you wouldn't call someone a good hand in like in the 80s or 90s.
No.
I like that we sort of wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We're like, oh yeah, you're a good hand.
Oh, it's like if I was a wrestler that was, Mia Yim, fairly good wrestler, isn't like the best, certainly is not the worst. She's just like, she's there if you need someone to put on a good match with someone and get someone to the next stage of their rivalry with someone else. That's Mia Yim. So it's like, if I was that, I would be very insulted if I was called a good hand. I'd be like, oh, hell no. Because there's a sense of truth to it, isn't there? Really?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, oh, you're a good hand, nothing more, nothing less. You don't call Daniel Bryan a good hand. You call him one of the best. Like,
Yep.
there's so many things about him. Mia Yim, good hand.
Good hand.
You say it with like just like a shrug.
What an absolute backhanded compliment. It's like the
Yeah.
worst thing ever. But yeah, Charlotte called her that, so they're going to have a nice little match next week. And then, of course, we've got the impending challenge from Io Shirai, which, I mean, Io and Charlotte is something everyone talks about often as something they want to see. So I just am not looking forward to the internet once Io is probably going to lose.
Yeah, like I just said, you cannot have her go down there and lose her first challenge like
It'll
that.
be fun.
I mean,
It's going to be a fun match, but I
it's
don't
gonna be a
think
good
Io
match.
should win.
Some moonsaulting all over the place, and just two really good workers. But yeah, Charlotte's gonna win, and yeah, people are going to be very mad.
I honestly think in my mind, the person that's going to beat Charlotte is Rhea.
Okay.
I think it's going to go full circle, and Rhea's not going to be on television for a little while, and then when we get to, say, like a SummerSlam kind of deal, I think we'll have the rematch. That's how I think it's going to go.
I wouldn't hate that, because like I didn't really want Rhea to lose in the first place to, I guess, the Sharks. I thought it might hurt her a little bit. But if it leads to the right redemption arc and she comes back and she gets the belt back, anything that you may perceive as her having lost to Charlotte, if her losing to Charlotte sort of lost some of that mystique for you, she gets it right back.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. This is how I see. I don't know where I seen this on. It might have been on Backstage or something. I honestly couldn't. Yeah, I think it was on Backstage a few weeks ago. The one after WrestleMania. I believe Christian said it. Honestly, I could be really wrong, but he made a good point. Is like, okay, so Charlotte and Rhea had probably hands down the best pure wrestling match of WrestleMania, which I think we both said was probably the best, like, bell-to-bell wrestling match.
Actual wrestling match for sure.
And Christian basically said that this is going to be a rivalry that extends over a few years. And I was like, what? What are you talking about here? He basically explained it as like, this is going to be one of those things that like we revisit every now and again, and they're going to trade wins. So like in 2 years, they'll be 2-2. In 3 years, they'll be 3-3 or something like that. And they're always going to be the kind of counterparts to each other that they can never quite get an advantage on, but they always kind of go back and forth with the wins. And he's like, Charlotte beating Rhea now. Rhea's going to beat Charlotte. Then in a few years, they'll be wrestling for the Raw Women's title, the SmackDown Women's title. They'll be wrestling at other different events and stuff like that. And it'll just be kind of one of those feuds that never end, but also never continue, the kind of deals. And I was like, oh, that kind of makes a lot of sense. He said, why would you have the babyface Rhea Ripley just beat Charlotte right now. You have it build and you have it kind of go, you have layers and then you have stars. He goes, Rhea Ripley is like, what, 24 years old, 23 years old? She said she's going to be
24. She's literally like our age.
And it's like, she's going to be around for years and years and years. Charlotte is going to be around for years and years and years. And I was like, well, that makes honestly a lot of sense.
Leave it to the professionals to actually make sense.
Yeah. It's just.
No, I get it for sure, and I like that because I see a lot of sort of Charlotte and Rhea are both alphas. Like Rhea was the alpha of NXT, NXT UK, and then NXT. It's just how her character is, and Charlotte is, it's a different character, but it's the same sort of mentality, where it's like, I am the top, you have to step to me, and so they had, you can't have two alphas. So if they're going to be in the same show, one of them's going to have to knock off the other.
Yeah, I'm happy with how it's progressing. We'll see how it all kind of goes with everything with Charlotte. I want to talk to you about Becky for a minute.
My girl, okay.
I'm a little confused with the man, if you will. So she's not on the Money in the Bank poster. She wasn't on Raw this week. She doesn't look like she's having a Raw Women's title match at Money in the Bank. I don't really know what's going on with Becky here because she beat Shayna, obviously, at WrestleMania, and then they kind of half continued their feud, and then it was kind of like, okay, someone's going to win Money in the Bank, and, they're going to come at me. And then it was just kind of like, okay, is it more so Becky is just having a little bit of like a break? Or is it that, do they really not have enough depth within Raw for someone to go at her when there's Money in the Bank going on?
Well, I think it's probably a little bit of both. I remember reading something that like Becky and Seth were going to take a break after Mania. I don't know if it doesn't appear that Seth actually is, considering he's in the WWE title match at Money in the Bank. But, maybe Becky actually did. Maybe Becky is taking a little time off. But I'm glad you pointed out the Money in the Bank poster because I noticed that too when I saw it. That was my first reaction. It was like, oh, you have all the other champions up there, like right in the center.
Charlotte's
and Becky's
on there.
Not there. Charlotte's on there. You would think that's Becky's spot, right? And that's weird because I feel like even if they didn't have her, like even if they weren't planning on having her defend at the pay-per-view, why would they leave her off the poster entirely? They wouldn't do that for anybody else. I don't know why they wouldn't do that. I don't have a poster list in front of me, but I'm sure if you went back, you'd find plenty of people on posters where they weren't actually on the card.
Absolutely.
It is weird. It's a little weird. And I also don't think this is the time to, I guess you could make it make sense where in a way you could say something like this. You could say, Becky just beat the last person standing, so she may as well, just regroup and take some time to herself while the rest of the roster sort of figures itself out. But I also think that you make a point about the depth. Who else is there? I'm honestly surprised we're not getting like a rematch of just straight up Shayna and Becky. With the way Becky won at WrestleMania, sort of just rolling her up. It lends itself to a rematch.
Unless
you can tell a story. You can tell a story there. You could say Shayna's even hungrier now. I still think Shayna should be the one to take the belt off Becky, and I don't think Shayna is a fit for the Money in the Bank, like the Money in the Bank either. I think that's kind of a weird thing to do.
Yeah, obviously there's still two more spots to be. I think Lacey and Banks are fighting this week for a spot. I'd assume that Sasha would get in there, but it could go to Lacey easily, and then there's another spot from SmackDown to be filled, which I would guess would probably go to someone like Mella, or like maybe like there's Sonya and Mandy are kind of busy. Obviously Tamina is going for the SmackDown Women's title with Bayley.
Yeah, let's get it. Tamina. No, I honestly it sucks because I think Mandy or Sonya would be a perfect fit.
Can we talk about Sonya Deville for a minute? You seen that promo, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my god,
absolutely.
Sonya Deville came out to fight. Like she came out to play. Like it seemed like she had that in for a little while, and it's like that to me was not a scripted Well, maybe there was somewhat script, but she was speaking from.
It wasn't like a totally reading off the script type of thing, and as much as I love Sonya, as much as good as Sonya and Mandy were together, and as evident as it is that they're very good friends in real life, I think Sonya's probably, and Mandy probably was. I bet they both were like just chomping at the bit to get this opportunity.
Mm.
And Sonya went out, and I've been a Sonya fan for a while, and I've been waiting. I've been clamoring for the breakup because I think Sonya is destined for bigger and better. Although I now think Mandy also is destined for bigger and better. Maybe
She
it's
did
different.
play her part well, by the way. She actually did play her. They played their parts very well, but Sonya really took that segment by the balls.
Yeah, Sonya literally just stuck a fork in her. She was done.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. And I think, yeah, it's like on one hand you kind of want one of them to be in Money in the Bank because you kind of, putting one of them in there, I think makes them one of the favorites, I'd say.
Yeah. They
On the
gave
other
a
hand,
lot of love for that, especially Sonya, but like I seen them both like, well, that whole segment was just really well. Why is this like the best thing at least the best thing on the main roster at the moment is this story because it's
they
been
hooked
so,
us.
it's
There's
been
an
so well
emotional
done.
There's an emotional investment here that you can't. I don't think there is anywhere else, honestly. Like we let these characters, Otis, Tucker, Mandy, Sonya, even Dolph to an extent, are characters that like we could sort of invest in and we would sort of resonate with emotionally.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's playing out like almost like a soap opera, but like in a good
great.
way. And it's like it's entertaining. It's a little cheesy, but it's very entertaining. And there, we have stakes. I think we have emotional stakes in everybody involved here.
Mm-hmm.
Where I don't think you could say that with like pretty much any other storyline except maybe Drew McIntyre, but like before he won the title. And I just think that, yeah, I think that they realized early on that they had something with this whole story, and I think I'll give the writers credit where it's due. They seem to have poured a lot of effort and time and love into this storyline to make it work. Because this could have gone awry at a lot of different points.
It could have went
This could have
so
gone
bad.
This could have gone so wrong.
And
this could have devolved in,
Mandy actually pitched this story. She said in an interview the other day, she's like, I went to Vince and said, Otis and me have always had like just a friendly chemistry, and he's always been kind of not like, she said this in a completely non-creepy way. He would be like, "Oh, you're my peach" and stuff like, just as a friend, just making jokes. She said, "You should put that on television," and Vince was like, "Okay, whatever." She said 2 weeks later, I was in a storyline with Otis, and honestly, I think this story went low-key under the radar for a hot minute, and then they realized, oh, this is gaining a lot of traction. And then they were like, okay, let's do something with it. And now, well, who would ever thought we'd be cheering for Mandy Rose? She's an instant heel, but I want to cheer her now.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that I'm glad they went this route. I think, there are characters that you seem to be destined to be one side of the heel face spectrum, but I'm a fan of giving everyone a chance to do a little bit of everything. Like I don't like the idea of career heels, career faces. I think, you got to try everything. And I did want to I wanted to root for Mandy, and I wanted to root for love. I wanted to root for love. I wanted to root for Mandy and Otis, and I was so convinced that they were gonna pull the rug out from under me, and either Otis was gonna lose at Mania, or Tucker was gonna screw him, or someone was gonna screw him, and it was gonna be Dolph and Mandy celebrating, and the fact that they didn't do that is just remarkable to me. I'm pleasantly surprised they didn't do something sort of underhanded there. But
I mean, it easily still could go. Mandy could.
Oh yeah,
Mandy's gonna end up turning on Otis.
Something has to turn at some point. Like, someone's gonna stab somebody in the back, and that'll be fine when it happens. But I'm glad Otis and Mandy got their WrestleMania moments, and I'm glad that now Sonya's getting her career-making moment right now.
Moment. And I've never been more excited to see a mixed tag match in my life. I'm genuinely like, yes, please.
I mean, just like, the WWE's track record of mixed tag matches, especially recently, because we don't see them very often. Obviously, you had Bobby and Lana and Rusev and Liv, which didn't really do anything. Before that, I couldn't even tell you the last mixed tag that wasn't part of the mixed match challenge. You'd probably have to go back to like
Well, that was
Right.
Lacey and
Oh
Baron.
yeah, you're right. That was good actually. That was. I
Yeah, it
mean,
was
I
really
know
good.
I know a lot of people didn't like that. I
I
did.
loved that match. I thought it was really, really well
I
done.
thought and I still see this clip circulating on Twitter sometimes, and I watch it every time. I stop to watch it every time. When Baron Corbin sticks Becky with the end of days,
Oh yeah.
and then just turns and looks at Seth and says, "What are you gonna do about it, you piece of shit?"
Great stuff. Yeah, but that was like the last like big mixed
Yeah,
tag match.
before that, the only thing I could think of was another one that I was like pretty enjoyable. This is going back to WrestleMania 33 when you had Cena and Nikki versus Miz and Maurice.
Oh yeah, and then Ronda and Angle.
Oh yeah, and yes, how
That
could I
was like
forget Ronda
that was one of
Rousey's
the matches of the
debut?
year. Like that
Literally,
was
I was gonna say,
just
literally the best match at WrestleMania 34 was a random mixed tag match that was only supposed to be Ronda's debut. I don't think they expected it to be much more, and it turned
really
into
good.
just this ridiculous thing.
Really, really, really good match. But yeah, I'm just genuinely like keen as all hell, and not for the actual like. I'm keen to see them work, yeah, sure, but I just want to see them brawl. Like I just want to see
Yeah,
them
it's
tear each other apart.
yeah. You're not sitting down and saying, all right, this is gonna be like a mat classic, a technical wizardry sort of thing. It's not gonna be a lot of it's gonna be a lot of punching and brawling, and that's fine. That there's a place in wrestling for that. Even still, I know a lot of people's sensibilities have sort of shifted now that we get more varieties and more, the high flying, the technical stuff. We see more of that now, I'd say, especially outside the WWE. But there's definitely a place in wrestling for just a good old fashioned fist fight. That's it's arguably it's the most realistic of any wrestling form.
Hmm. Yeah, but I'm super keen for all of that. Money in the Bank is looking pretty good. I'm excited to see Seth and Drew just because they've wrestled in the past. We know it'll be good, and it's a good like first program for Drew with the championship.
It really is because a win over Seth is a big win. Still, he's a former champion. He's always been at the top of the card for years now. Even when he's not a champ, he's always right there. That's going to be a good win for Drew. And God, I can't believe I've actually seen people, and in particular, What Culture, whom I don't really pay attention to unless they're brought to my attention.
Me too.
But literally, people saying like, "Is Drew McIntyre the next Roman Reigns?"
Yeah,
The dude's had
I
the
was
belt.
like, I seen that on
The dude's
YouTube.
had the belt for 2 weeks, and we were all really, really happy
What
2
Culture
weeks
used
ago.
to be great, and then they became kind of shills and kind of like shells of themselves. And I'm
Yeah,
just
I
like,
don't. I don't
Cultaholic
really
is
pay
where
attention.
I'm at, but
Yeah, I don't really pay. Well, didn't like most of the good people from What
yeah, they
Culture
all
go to
left.
Cultaholic? Yeah. So like as a result, you just I remember What Culture Pro Wrestling was great, but that was also before Cultaholic, so you still had the main personalities.
Yeah, I
But
watch
anyway,
Cultaholic. Cultaholic don't, they're just honest with their stuff. Like, What Culture seem to make a lot of clickbait and a lot of like stuff that'll be like to get people to talk about them, which is just kind of sad. I don't watch
yeah,
any of that like you, unless it's brought to my attention or I see it pop up in my YouTube, algorithm. Um, I'm like, I don't ever click on it. I never watch them. I'm just like, really?
yeah.
You're gonna?
Yeah, I didn't watch this video. I just saw the headline there, the title, I guess, and it speaks to your point. It's just clickbait. And honestly, like if they're trying to get people to watch them, this is the first I've heard anyone mention What Culture in like 2 years. So
Yeah, I
it's
don't. I
not
don't pay
working.
attention to them.
Whatever they're doing is not working. But yeah, I saw that and was just like, you know, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Uh-huh.
To the credit of it was pretty much universally just shouted down though. Like it wasn't really a controversial like a split take. I think everyone was pretty much like that's a stupid thing to say. But McIntyre's had the belt for like 2 weeks. You had this great story for him to get there. He got the title, and now he's done. I didn't watch Raw, but I saw clips from he wrestled Angel Garza, right?
Yeah.
And he did that. He does that tope over the
Oh,
top rope,
I was
and
like,
he's so big.
mm-hmm.
Like I'm impressed when Roman Reigns does it, and Drew McIntyre is bigger than Roman Reigns.
He's a big lad, and
And it's great. It was graceful, and it wasn't like clunky or anything. And he's just like he's. And I've said this since he sort of turned. I guess he unofficially turned face at the Rumble. but he's really just seems to be enjoying himself. He's cutting better promos. I think he's more focused in the ring, and I just think that he's just doing a lot better since the Rumble, and that makes sense because he's been put on a trajectory to the top. So I would be doing great too if I was getting pushed to win the WWE title.
Oh yeah.
But he really seems to be doing his best work right now. So I don't understand how anyone could look at that and be like, oh, he's Roman Reigns now because he has the belt. If that's your mindset, then like no one should ever be champion.
Nope. You brought up Angel Garza, and we would be silly not to talk about Zelina Vega and her little stable that she's got going on here. Austin Theory, Andrade, and Angel Garza. Austin Theory is very odd in there, but it all works really well. And Zelina is great. She's just so great, and it's like it's putting the art back into having a valet. I think that's kind of a lost art in wrestling.
Oh yeah, because managers really died out for a while there. You have obviously with Heyman with Brock, right?
Yeah.
And other than that, for the longest time, it was like there really wasn't a lot of
straight up managers.
Lana with Rusev was pretty good for a while there, but then they she sort of took like a different role. Zelina is really great at what she's doing right now. She's got these boys whipped into shape.
Mm-hmm.
She's devious and cunning and smart, and like she talks so well that she just puts everything in so eloquently when I love listening to her on commentary because she gives it the back and forth she has is great.
And not only that, this bad B is all over Raw. All over Raw. Like she's everywhere in a good way.
Well, that's the thing is because like you could have her in so many places because you obviously you could just run like a 6-man tag with Garza, Theory, and Andrade, but you could also separate them and have them do different things, and that is what I like. It harkens back to like you ever watch like an old WrestleMania where there's a couple examples, but like you see Jimmy Hart come out with one guy. And then 2 matches later, he'll come out with somebody else, and it's a completely different storyline, but he's still there. Yes. You could do that with Zelina right now. You could have her hands here doing different things, but at the end of the day, they're all under one umbrella. They don't have to be like a tag team, like you see a lot. I think that what they're doing with her is like perfect. And yeah, it's good that these guys are all over Raw because they're really, really good.
Yeah. And they're all working, and I'll happily eat my words on saying that Austin Theory doesn't fit on the main roster because it's been, a month or two? Not even, probably a month. And he's fit well because of this stable. They don't have a name or anything like that, and I'm not fussed about that, but it's just all worked.
Yeah, I think that actually kind of makes it better that they're not necessarily a stable, whereas they're like just clients of a manager. They're just they're individuals who all work for the same person.
Yeah, and I like that Zelina's in charge of these dudes. And they're all different, and like you've got someone like Austin Theory who's 22 years old, 23 years old, and just looks exactly like if you like close your eyes and like, what do you want? I'm going to put together a WWE superstar. It's like you wouldn't really have too much else looking other than Austin Theory. Like he just kind of looks the part. And then you got Andrade, who's the United States champion, a fantastic in-ring worker, and then Angel Garza, who's on the same level as Theory, is like that Latin face. He could be a baby face one day because he's just genuinely like he's just a very good looking person, and he's just like that he's just everything just works. It's just all the puzzles all fit together. And then you got Zelina, who is a fantastic talker and can go toe to toe on the microphone with the top talent. Like it's just a perfect formula that's just kind of working unexpectedly.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have guessed that. I always sort of had Zelina earmarked as just like Andrade. I figured it was gonna go. It would be Zelina and Andrade. They would eventually split up, and then Zelina would do in-ring work because she's a pretty good in-ring. I think she's a fine in-ring worker. She's very small, obviously, but that's not the worst thing in the world. But I definitely love what they're doing, adding more people to the group, and like I said, now not making it necessarily a group, just clients,
a collective
clients
of people.
Of a manager,
and
clients of a manager. Yeah, she's great. She has been an absolute revelation since she arrived way back in it feels like forever ago now when she showed up in NXT, and Andrade had no career
Direction.
arc or direction whatsoever. They didn't know what to do with him. He was so talented, but no one they had him coming out with the hat on and being a baby face, and no one liked him. Just no one wanted to root for this guy. And then Zelina showed up, and he was NXT champion a couple weeks later.
Yep. And I'm all for it. I did have that in my head as something I wanted to talk about this week, so I'm glad we got that checked off the list because I'm just impressed. I've been thoroughly, and this is really weird to say, Raw ended on Tuesday for me, and come to an end, and for the most part, people were actually I really enjoyed Raw, and I was like, what? What's going on? People are enjoying a WWE product, and there's still people not liking it, of course, but Raw has been consistently really good. It hasn't felt like that 3-hour drag that sometimes it can feel like. It's felt in a no crowd era. They're doing a really good job. They're just we're missing people like AJ Styles, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, Edge. They're all gone.
You're operating with roughly half the brand, half the roster, I'd say. That's why. That's but that affords someone like Zelina Vega to be all over the show. If Orton, Edge, Styles, all these guys are there, you're not going to see as much of Zelina or her stable. So it's good in a way. I mean, do I wish that we got to see Edge and Orton and Styles and all them? Yeah, I love those guys, but Styles is dead, and Edge and Orton are also.
I will come out and say he did come out on his Mixer gaming stream, and he's like, "I am alive." Which is nice. AJ Styles is alive, but kayfabe, this guy dead, and
he's dead. Yeah, he's a dead person, and that sucks because he's so good.
In the famous words of Ronda Rousey, wrestling is fake.
Yeah, as much as it almost sounds like I'm contradicting myself because I earlier said I like that sort of wink, wink, nudge, nudge style where they sort of pull the curtain back a little bit. I don't like it when Ronda Rousey just comes out and says that wrestling is fake for a storyline because I do believe it. I believe she's working, right?
She's got us puppet on a string here. She's got the whole world. I understand that it's a work, and I'm not fussed with anything she said. I'm really honestly not. I'm pretty much it's fine. We know what wrestling is anyway. It's not like she's saying anything we don't know. But the problem is, if you're working this into a story and you're a heel and you get beat, does that mean you just lost a fake fight? And you're meant to make me believe that you just lost that when you're telling us that if this was a real fight, you'd be dead if you're doing this all this time. So how does someone look bad? How does someone look good in this situation? Because the face beating you, it's just a fake fight, so it doesn't matter, really. That's what she's telling us. But if she wins, does that also mean she's winning a fake fight? So why does it matter?
Yeah, it means she won a fake fight. Why should we care? That's the thing. That's why you can't. I don't think you could go this route. It's
really hard to work yourself out.
Yeah, you're setting yourself up to look bad no matter what. You won a fake fight. Who cares? You lost a fake fight. Oh, that's not a good look. I don't think there's a good way to really do it with that. Which is why I wish they weren't. I wish that they weren't really doing this. I didn't mind it.
However, a lot of people are talking about Ronda. So
yeah.
Any hate is good hate, I guess.
That's what I said. That's true.
Wherever it leads to, whether it's obviously a lot of people had comments on it. Nia Jax is someone that probably shouldn't have said what she said just because of her history, like we talked about before.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is Nia's the wrong person to speak up about.
Literally, any other woman could have said it and would have been like, "Yeah, fuck yeah." But Nia, just I understand what you're doing. Just
it comes off as it comes off as a little
hypocritical,
painfully unself-aware, and a little disingenuous, honestly.
Yikes!
I don't like to play the unsafe card, but Nia has multiple instances where she's been a little reckless, and
Reckless is
and
the
it,
perfect word to use. I don't like.
yeah,
I don't think she's
I don't
unsafe.
like to say unsafe because it implies that you're like stepping into the ring and you're gonna get like murdered.
And
She
she's
could be
not
a little,
doing
yeah,
that.
she could be a little careless.
Reckless and careless is a just not
Yeah.
realizing, like we said before. But yeah, I mean, wherever it leads to, it's not like I'm not going to be watching. If she's trying to sell me on a wrestling match, what Ronda's doing is working because
Oh, I'm gonna watch Ronda Rousey every time she steps into the ring because I don't think she's had like a bad match yet. I think
me
everything
either.
she does in the ring is great.
Yep, I never disliked Ronda ever. She
I
pissed
just
me off
think
with
that
some
like,
things, but like
yeah,
I never
I think
disliked Ronda.
that if you do, you know, you could think that Nia is just speaking out to defend everybody, or you could think that she's speaking out as part of a storyline. I really hope they're not going with another Ronda Nia match because, like, I don't think anyone wants to root for either of them.
That's the problem. There is that I think they're just you could do it in a fanless environment.
That's true. There's no one to not root for them. So you really throw a lot of things that you thought you knew about wrestling out the window with the fanless environment. You could do so many different, like the creative shackles are almost off, or at least loosened in a way.
Yeah. We're living in weird times. That's for
Oh, for
sure.
sure.
Well, that'll
Well,
kind
use
of
your favorite word, unprecedented.
spew. A great place to end this week's episode. To be completely honest, I don't know how we do that. Like, we just talk for 50 minutes with no plan. We just talked about random shit. Really.
Yeah, I mean, all you have to do is like say a name, or it's almost like word association. Like you could have literally got on the mic, you could have said, "All right, uh, Mark Jindrak," and we probably could have talked for a while about Mark Jindrak. Even though I'll admit I don't know much about him, I don't know where I got that name from.
The guy that was almost in Evolution. We could have talked about that.
That's true. That's true. The guy who almost was in Evolution, and Jesus Christ, I can't imagine Evolution. He was going to be in Batista's spot, right? Like, it's sort of the enforcer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that just, I think we got the better end of that.
Yeah, well, I agree. See, we're already doing it. We could talk about that for 20 minutes, but it's, I don't know. I like these episodes. Of course, I love planned episodes and what we do, but I just genuinely like to do this because we're not pulling anyone's leg here. This isn't a work, guys. I literally messaged Kevin 20 minutes before we recorded and said, I know what we're going to talk about, but we're going to talk.
Yeah, we're shooting from the hip here, brothers.
No,
we don't let ourselves get worked. We don't let ourselves get worked into a shoot like the Marks.
No, where I don't know what I was going to say, but cool. Yeah, agreed. Sure. I have nothing to plug.
Okay, before one last thing I want to say that I don't even know if this is real. This could have been a completely doctored tweet or a completely doctored screen grab. But I saw, did Ronda really tweet something about like basically saying like, don't work yourselves into a shoot, brothers?
Yeah. Oh yeah, she did. She was beating up a Hulk Hogan like those like those hit 'em bear things that were like shaped in. They're hard to describe without you looking at a picture of them, but they're like little bears, and you like bash them, and they're in the shape of like there was one for Ultimate Warrior, and there was one for
I get you. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, and she was beating it up and throwing it against the wall. She said, "Don't work yourself into a shoot, brother."
Funny.
And she's made this tweet, and she was like, when you work yourself into a shoot, so therefore it's a work, but it's also a shoot, and you've shoot yourself into a work, and now it's a work, and now it's a shoot again, or some shit like that. And I was like, Ronda has just got us all in the palm of her hand. And she's
Ronda's literally just playing chess right now, while the rest of us are playing.
And even if she was telling the truth at the start, we've gone so far into it that we don't know if she's working us now.
Yeah,
she loves pro wrestling. That's the thing that I always remember with Ronda is she had videos of her crying about how much she misses wrestling, and she did. If you actually listen to that podcast, I think it was with Johnny Knoxville. I want to say, I think she was on that podcast.
Yeah, well, it was with Johnny Knoxville. I remember because I thought that was the weirdest combination of people. She
actually said, she goes, if you actually listen to this, everyone's taking that one little bit where she said like fuck fans and all that kind of jazz. But she actually says, I love wrestling. I love being in the ring. I love the performance. I love all the girls that I worked with. I love absolutely everything about wrestling except for the ungrateful people that, like, as soon as I said one little thing, they were like, you cannot wrestle. Not booing me. She said, I didn't care about getting booed. I was a heel. I meant to get booed. But she goes, why is it that when you now, in this world of wrestling, when you turn or when you say something that annoys people, it's automatically they find everything that you're doing wrong and they cancel you and they expose you. Said a heel in 2001 was not getting quote unquote cancelled like I was in 2020. And I was like, you do raise a good point because as soon as someone's everyone hates you and you're terrible at wrestling.
Wrestling fans friggin' suck.
They
honestly,
can, yeah.
Nowadays they do. I'd say, like, because you
the
have
world
this.
Sucks though, dude. Like the world is such a sensitive.
That's right. That's super fair.
Cancel culture is one of the worst things I've ever seen. It's
Yeah,
like you do the slightest little bit that doesn't agree with someone, and then it's just like done.
It's crazy, and like literally every day I hop on Twitter and I see something trending to the effect of like so and so is over party or some dumb shit like that. But it's literally so easy to find like one little thing about somebody. Maybe it's not even like it's like a half truth or it's something you've twisted, and it's so easy to take that and just blow it up, and people latch on to it because people believe everything they friggin' see. And you go from you can go like in a matter of hours. You could just literally you could be getting vilified, and that's what happened to Ronda. It was like overnight. It seemed people just started hate. No one hated on her when she started. No one was like after that WrestleMania match. No one was like, "Oh, you can't wrestle." I don't really even. I can't even pinpoint when it started, but it's someone somewhere.
It was when she started feuding with Becky, and that was when Becky was so hot that they were like, to go for Becky, we must have to discredit everything Ronda Rousey has ever done. And that was I think that's where it all stemmed from, in my opinion. But if you actually look at that whole for the people that are like really worked up about what Ronda said, fine. But go and actually listen to that podcast. She talks about how she loves wrestling and how she's been a fan of it since she was 9 years old. And she's like, I've always wanted to be in this world. And she even said in the post, she goes, I understand that wrestling is incredibly difficult on your body when you're doing it 300 plus days a year. It's not like she wasn't saying that. She just said, at the end of the day, she did use the word fake, and I don't necessarily like that word when it comes to wrestling because I don't think it is fake. It is predetermined, and people are still putting their bodies on the line. However, what she said was not theoretically wrong. Really.
No, I don't like the wording, and I don't like the idea of just implying. Yeah, I know obviously no one's being fooled anymore, but I don't like the idea of using wrestling being fake for story.
No,
but I also genuinely believe that she wouldn't have done that if she didn't have like the blessing of the workers and the upper and everyone. I think she has. I don't think she's like out on an island saying this stuff.
No, and at the end of the day, though, we all got to remember that Ronda Rousey is a bigger name than pretty much everybody within the WWE. I know that's a horrible thing to say as someone who loves wrestling as much as I do, but besides a few of the big
everyone
names,
knows who Ronda Rousey
Ronda Rousey is a household name, and people are going to pay more attention when Rousey's there than when she isn't. So,
oh yeah, I could tell you like offhand, just so many people I know that like they don't like wrestling, but when Ronda showed up at the Rumble back in 2018, everyone was like, "Oh shit!" And then when she was having a WrestleMania match, people were like, "Oh, how do I tune in?" I'm like,
exactly,
pay the money.
And I understand. Again, I'm on wrestling fan side. I don't like that word either, but at the end of the day, she wasn't saying anything that we didn't know.
Yeah, it wasn't like she was. It wasn't like she was. She wasn't like just tearing down the wall. The wall is pretty much torn down.
We see 24s every other week, and it's like, I love this person. Here's them hugging after they had this match. Like, I understand what wrestling is. I'm not stupid.
That shit I like. I like to see the behind the scenes stuff, and I don't mind that we're exposed to that. It's just like
But what's the difference, really? At the end of the day, it's just
it's just that like It just feels so sharp.
She's telling you wrestling is fake, and that's showing you wrestling is fake. Really,
it just feels different when it's like blatant, like just literally being put right in your face.
And I agree. I at the end of the day, I don't like the wording either. However, just remember what context that she was saying this in, and then this is not to you directly, Kevin, but just the people that were like,
better watch your mouth.
It's like, just take it in what, actually listen to what she said. And Ronda knows the business, and it's clear that she has an eye for wrestling because she understands how to work people. And in this day and age, it's hard to work people. We don't know whether she's telling the truth or whether she's working. That's the best kind of story to me. However, I do agree with the word fake. It's not necessarily what she should be saying. But I'm so on the fence with it, as you can tell. But now I can kind of wrap up this episode as we talk about Ronda again, but I'm not fussed at all because I'll talk about that in length anytime. But yeah, I have nothing to plug this week, to be completely honest. Just continue listening to the network and everything else like that. I had different kind of episodes this week on the network, and it's been fun to kind of do different stuff. And I'll pose the question to everybody who didn't listen to the Josh Robinson show. What do you want? What do you want from this network? What do you want from these shows? Is there ideas? Is there certain people you'd like to hear on these shows? Is there, without you guys listening and without you guys kind of telling me what you guys want, I don't really know. I'm not a mind reader, so do you want more of the same?
What?
I know I'm not a mind reader. I know it's crazy.
Oh shit!
Do you want more of the same?
I'll echo what our buddy Mags. I think he tweeted this because he posed this question, and I do like. As much as I love talking about wrestling, and I love talking about wrestling, and this is like the GOAT show. This is you put out a poll. Well, what's your favorite show on the Josh Robinson Network? And I may or may not have voted three times for Wrestling Reverb. But I also love, and this isn't just you. This is something that I love hearing about. This is why I like the Josh Robinson show, because you have guests on, and I get to hear a lot of people talk about their lives outside of wrestling, and that's really interesting to me because there's so many people in this little community we've got that I only know through the lens of professional wrestling. And it's refreshing to hear people talk about their lives, talk about their interests, their hobbies, their shit, shit like that outside of wrestling. Wrestling isn't the whole world. As much as I wish it was sometimes. We all have lives outside of this shit, and it is cool to get to know people like that, So that's what Mags sort of said in his tweet. He likes to know more about you, sans wrestling, and I echo that for sure. I definitely like to hear more about your shit. And I definitely don't want you to make more TikToks, but I understand they make you happy, so do what you want.
I'm fucking never stopping making TikToks. I would like to let everybody know I went to sleep last night with 62 followers, and I woke up with 84. So
oh god, they're feeding the meter that is your ego.
Shit is happening. I'm getting consistently more views. I'm like, oh bitch, I'm getting over, and I'm loving it. So,
oh my god,
it's just like the favorite part of my day. Isn't that sad? The favorite part of my day is seeking validation from people I don't fucking know.
Oh, like we all don't do that.
Oh, I fucking do that.
And in this era we're in, TikTok success is like literally all you could do. Really, you can't really go anywhere.
It's like, well, I may as well just do this dumbass dance because I got nothing else to do.
So you just, you make use of the space.
Yeah, well, I consistently do that. So don't worry, they're not going anywhere. But yeah, I'm gonna do. I have plans and stuff to do more things. I was just genuinely like asking because I'm like, what do people like to hear? I don't know, because one thing could be great for me to do, but I don't necessarily know if it makes a good podcast. You know what I mean? Like sometimes great ideas. I've had many ideas where I'm like, this is a great idea, but it would be a horrible podcast, like just because it just doesn't fit. So more stuff outside of the wrestling world is what I'm hearing, and I do that with the Josh Robinson show a lot anyway. But I think more
that's just sort of why I figured the Josh Robinson show started in the first place, was because you wanted to talk about some more non-wrestling stuff. And it's great that it's, you went from, you had one show, you had two shows, now you have like 4 or 5 shows. And it's good. And it's good because like, I'm not saying this like as a joke. I genuinely think we all need a little bit more Josh Robinson in our lives.
Oh, look at that.
So,
Damn.
So I don't think anyone's complaining that we get more shows. We get Bits versus Josh. We get Brothers-in-Law. We get all this good shit. I don't think anyone's complaining.
Yeah, I make
And
a lot of content.
if they and honestly, if they're complaining, I don't understand it because like it's literally as easy as not listening to a show. Like,
yeah,
it's not like
like the
it's
good
not
thing
like
about
it's being streamed into your ears.
no, I'm
like
not forcing anyone to listen to it. And also, the reason I created this network is because I understand, like, not everybody wants to listen to every show, but they can kind of pick what they want to listen to. And you're still getting me, and I'm still kind of stroking my own ego. So it's working for
that's
me.
the thing. It's like you could literally pick and choose what you want to listen to, and that's the thing about I guess just this medium we have here is that you could literally there's so much variety, and that's what the Josh Robinson Network offers. I think is variety because every show's a little bit different. Obviously, it all circles back to you, but like everything's a little different. You get different perspectives. Yeah, obviously you have Ditz, you have your brother-in-law, you have me. Obviously, I offer the most unique.
Don't worry, Kevin. Reverb's always going to be my baby.
I offer the most unique perspective of any of Josh's counterparts. But yeah, there's a lot of variety, so there's something for everyone. I think that's the best way to reach as many people as possible because you're finding new people with each new show.
Yep, I agree completely, and it's just fun to do, so I'm gonna continue doing it. But on that note, I guess this is where we'll say our sayonaras for the day. I hope everyone is living and enjoying what's kind of going on as we're entering this new normal, as it seems, and staying at home and all of that kind of stuff. Wherever you are in the world, I'm sure you're at home. So enjoy, make the most of it, like we are for the most part. So.
Yeah, I'd like to make a plea. If you are currently on, and I think pretty much everyone is in sort of a similar situation right now where we're in quarantine and we're sort of sheltering at home. There's been a lot of, at least over here in the States, a lot of protesting going on. Like a lot of people going out and sort of protesting, saying that their freedoms and their rights are being taken away, and they're out in the streets picketing, and they're being very unsafe. And I just want everyone to like sort of think about how you would feel if like your relatives got sick or someone you love got sick. Because when you're going out and you're doing this, like you could be getting so many people sick right now. I just want everyone to sort of be safe and be smart.
Yeah, I agree completely. The amount of times I see people on my Snapchat just together, and I'm like, ugh, no, don't do that. But I'll leave it at that. That's a perfect spot for the end of this episode. Stay safe, everybody, and we'll catch you next Friday on Wrestling Reverb. Peace out.